And good morning, everybody. We're live. Yes, we are. Congratulations. You made it through the week. Another week of amazing food safety, high quality products, everything out there that we know and love and enjoy, safely protected by you. And we really appreciate all that effort that you've done. And of course, if nobody else says thank you, I'm going to say thank you. Thank you. Campbell's going to say thank you. We appreciate all that you do, even though nobody else says it. If you're new to the chat, welcome. Pull up a chair. My name is Bryan Armentrout, and I'm with the Food Leadership Group. And every Friday at this time, 8 a.m. Mountain Time, 10 a.m. Eastern on LinkedIn and YouTube, we live stream. And I have the distinct pleasure of bringing an amazing food safety guest on the show to have a discussion and conversation around food safety. Because food safety, not a point of competition. We're all in this together. The public doesn't care what company we work for. All they care about is that the food is safe, and it's not. They let us know very quickly. So we have an incredible responsibility to do that. And part of the chat of what we're doing here today is sharing information so that we're all on the same page. And that's why I love bringing guests like Campbell Mitchell on the show here today. Good morning, Campbell. How are you doing today, sir?
Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Campbell, one of my favorite guests. And so Campbell had a fun story relative to LinkedIn and everything going on out there. So we may talk a little bit about that here in a bit, but we'll save that for a little bit later. So everybody's filing in here. So Elena, hi, good to see you. Of course, I'm in Loveland, Colorado, where the weather is very nice. A little on the warm side for me, but hey, it's August. What else do you expect? So where are you at, Campbell?
I'm in Michigan. About to relocate to Chicago, so looking forward to that very shortly.
Another little teaser there. Another little teaser. What's going on? So one of the things that I love about the chat here is this is interactive, and with the people that are filing in here, Ryan and Elaine and everybody else, this is a fantastic opportunity to ask questions and have a great discussion, because you don't get these opportunities very much. And so with Campbell, who I just absolutely love talking with, he's one of the leading experts for quality and food safety for food in the world. And you're getting ready to step into a new role, aren't you?
Yeah, very excited. I got my visa approved yesterday, so I can talk publicly about it now. I'll be starting as head of food safety and compliance for Kraft Heinz. So really looking forward to that. Thank you.
They couldn't be bringing on a better guy. I mean, so Duncan, Duncan, I'm sure he knows as well here, who will be coming in the chat here shortly. Great day in Texas. Who's in Texas? Can't see your name. But it's just one of those rules, and we'll talk about this here a little bit in the chat as well, is when you work for a company, you really work for a boss. You don't necessarily work for who your boss is, and critically important. So I'm sure that the team at Kraft Heinz is super excited to have you on board, especially those people who are going to be working for you. So they're very lucky. So we were chatting a little bit here about your background as well too. That super cool background. So this is part of your international background. Where did you say that was from?
So from New Zealand originally, but I've been here in the US and Michigan for 18 months. I was with Fairlife. I was VP of quality and safety for Fairlife. And then with Kerry in the Middle East, and with a company called Al Marai in Saudi Arabia for 10 years.
And so with that picture with Dubai, I'm kind of surprised that they're, you always think of, vast wasteland and desert and everything else, but beautiful, like trees and everything there in the background.
Yeah, but it's all irrigated. So yeah, you pay a lot of money for irrigation. Yeah.
Kind of like here in Colorado. Yeah, we have trees, but man, you got to fight to keep them alive. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So everybody, please join Campbell and I for a drink of your favorite beverage, and we'll cheer Campbell on his new role. Cheers.
Thank you.
Somebody's ahead of me on the IFP. Yep, we're going to get to that here in just a second. But before we get to that information, of course, time for the dad joke. Campbell, are you ready?
Yes.
I tried to come up with something here that was relevant for, interviews and all these type of things that people go through. And so I was kind of thinking about this. And so recently, I myself, Campbell, I had an interview for a job. And one of the things that you really hear about in interviews when you're getting ready, of course, is you want to be ready for those common questions. Why did you leave your last role, and these type of things. And of course, the interview asked me one of those questions. And the question he asked me was, what is your greatest weakness, right? That's when you get all the time. And I was ready for that. And so I responded, well, if there's one weakness that I really have, it's I'm way, way too honest. And the interviewer responded with, well, that's not a weakness. And so then I said, well, you're obviously a freaking idiot.
I'm guessing you didn't get the job.
No, didn't get the job. It's with the dad joke. Sometimes it's hard to find ones that are topical and things like this. And so, there's a new video I'm going to be dropping here shortly. I did an interview with Alara Technologies and the CEO down there, and Patty McNamara, and I found a dad joke for software. Believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
So stay tuned for that. That's going to be coming up. I've been working and editing the video, so it's looking pretty good. So you've been traveling around quite a bit here, Campbell. So what were you up here to this week?
I was down in Cleveland for the IAFP conference. I had to be a little bit under the radar for Kraft Heinz, but it was great to meet some of the colleagues that I'm going to be working with, and people from all over the world as well. And yeah, great. IAFP is a great conference. I highly recommend anybody in food safety to go to that. That's really probably the preeminent food safety conference in the world.
Any key aha moments or things that you pulled out of your meetings or things that you saw?
Well, the week before I was in Lansing with Michigan State University talking about AI and food safety, and there was a lot of AI sessions in the IFP. So yeah, I think that's probably one of the big hot topics. And I'll drop in a plug for QA and Food Safety magazine that they interviewed me. I've got an article in the latest magazine, so watch out for that.
Yep, and I have a link to that article, and I will put that in the notes for the conversation here today at the end of our chat.
Excellent. Thanks, Bryan.
Cara's here. Cheryl's here as well too. Cool. All right. Awesome. We're getting some really good people in here. So one of the things that we wanted to talk about is around food safety, and this is an opportunity. One of the things that I take a great deal of satisfaction from, and I'm sure you do as well, Campbell, is the mentorship aspect of what we do. Our careers have been around for a little while, as my gray hair greatly attests to, and kind of teaching that next generation those lessons. I mean, as we talked about before, so my book back here, that's why I wrote my book, was to hopefully pass around some of those lessons of things that I've learned during my career. And that's highly gratifying when you're able to help people with those next steps in their career and see them grow and mature in those roles. Do you agree?
100%. I think that's the greatest pleasure I get in my career, is being able to see people that I've helped steer in the right direction, or give them some advice, or even just give them an opportunity, give them a chance, and give them some opportunities for training or for career advancement. Put them in a role where they're perhaps at the start that they feel they're not prepared for it, or they're fish out of water, but then you see them grow and change and adapt and further their career and advance and flourish, and I think that gives you the greatest thrill, is being able to help people sort of pay it forward. I've been helped in my career by some great leaders and a lot of people that I look up to, and it was really great to meet some of my idols at IFP. And then I hope that I can do that for other people and help them further their career as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the greatest satisfaction, because it's kind of a cliche, but it's that paying it forward. Because absolutely, in my career, and I talk about these stories too, is there's certain key moments in your path in what we do where there's people who step in and help you.
Yep.
And if it wasn't for those people, I probably wouldn't have had the career that I had.
100%. And even just getting my visa to come to America, I had to get 20 references from multiple people all over the world, and it was, if I hadn't have had that support, I wouldn't be here today. So I really appreciate all the help I've been able to achieve.
Yep, absolutely. And so for our chat today, we decided we were going to have a little bit of fun. So of course, everybody is familiar with Charles Dickens and the Christmas Carol, and he's visited by the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future. And it's like, well, that's kind of a fun way to arrange our chat here for today. So we're going to try and impart a little wisdom, and part of this is that wisdom is like we were talking about, is not always positive things. A lot of it comes from negative experiences, and people a lot of times get bummed out by that. There's a setback or something happens. There's a lot you can learn for those things. So we wanted to kind of delve into those three main areas and break it up into that. So to start off with that, we'll start off with the past. And with that, I think kind of one of the key lessons that I learned is when you're in university and when you're planning out your life and you're a young man or woman, you think you've got it all planned out. And guess what? No, I've never met anybody that it went exactly to plan. Have you, Campbell?
No, definitely not. And I don't think you should expect it to. The most interesting people that I've known at 40 haven't known what they want to do with their life. So I think life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. So you just make the most of whatever situation presents itself.
Yeah, and definitely. And so the US is kind of unique versus other areas of the world in that if you're working in food safety and food manufacturing, in other countries, you go to school for that. If you're in France, you can go to school to learn these skills. In the US, you're on your own. You kind of fall into what we do. And that was definitely the case for me. And I think one of those key flags, and I think this applies to everything in what you're doing in life relative to your career or anything else, is you have to listen and pick up on those passions and those things that interest you. And one of the things in food safety, I think one of those key indicators, Campbell, is resilience. Because as I talk about here on the chat, what we do in food safety and quality assurance is hard. There's easier ways to make money. But if you're drawn to this field and you enjoy it and you like the challenge and you enjoy building systems and working with people, that comes through, and you start, it becomes almost automated within you, and you just start being drawn to and gravitate to that field. Do you agree with that?
100%. In fact, I've been reflecting recently about people that work in food safety and quality, and they're very altruistic type people, and they really work hard, underappreciated, don't really get recognition unless something goes wrong. So, people don't really want to hear about quality and food safety until there's a crisis, so that's when hopefully we don't have too many of those in our career. But I think you almost have to work yourself out of a job to be successful in quality and food safety. So it takes a certain type of people, and mixing with those people, especially this week in IFP, I think they're all a fantastic bunch. Very much in it for the passion and in it for the right reasons. So like-minded individuals who really enjoy their job and want to do the best and provide safe, quality food, nourish the world. So it's a really altruistic type approach.
Yeah, and I think part of that altruistic approach really comes back to when you're earlier in your career, when you're young, and we were talking about this a little bit before as well. You need those mentors. Oh my God, you need those mentors.
Yep.
Extremely important. My first role, I was filling in. I was as a quality manager at a plant, and I had no idea, Campbell, how to do the role. I was a corporate microbiologist, and my boss threw me into this setting out in California. I had no idea what to do. And I'll never forget this meeting. So I worked for a company that had a very difficult culture. I describe it as management by yelling. And I went in for my first staff meeting. We were having a bit of a coliform issue in some of the product, nothing serious, but it needed to be investigated. And the plant manager asked me what was going on and what had I found out. And I, for a frame of reference on this, Campbell, I'd been in the job for maybe a week at that point, just trying to figure things out. And I said, well, am I really, I kind of stumbled around. And did he read me the riot act? Oh, in front of the entire team in the plant. Why is corporate sending me idiots like you? What good? I don't even know why you're here. I mean, just on and on and on. I'm just like, oh. I thought for sure I was going to be sent back to corporate in shame. But 2 days later, regional quality came through. Uh, Amazing guy. And I said, Rick, I don't know what I'm doing here. I was down at the bottom, Campbell. I was just like, oh my gosh. And he's like, no, 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 no. He's like, don't worry about it. I will teach you what you need to know. And if it wasn't for Rick, I I would have probably failed, because the follow-up meeting the next week, which I was dreading, completely different. I came in, I had the answers, I was able to talk to their points. And by the end of my stay, I was there like 3 months at that plant. By the end of the stay, the plant manager asked me to stay on full time, and he wrote a glowing review letter back to my boss. And
Excellent.
I went back to corporate, but that probably was a very key moment in my
Yep.
career for helping me advance.
And what I find quite often is food safety and quality people are sort of the people that get blamed, you know. So when stuff's going wrong, people try to deflect the focus away from the operations, away from whatever happened that went wrong, and blame the person who brings the bad news. So
Yeah.
I think you have to have quite thick skin if you want to work in this field, and be prepared to shoulder some of that, and be quite conscious that people have emotions, and are likely to point the finger maybe, but at the end of the day, the facts come through, and people realize where they sit.
Right. That's a really key point. Is I often describe what we do as having a moral calling, right? We're part of the group within a company that decides what's right, wrong, good, bad, pass, fail, all these type of things. And being able to then communicate that outside of you is critical. We talk about this more and more on the chat. Is there's technical skills and people skills.
Yep.
Those people skills, you need to train and teach everyone else why this passion is so important and why they need to care about it too. And that's a key attribute, is being able to understand. And I think where that's a lot of the resilience comes, and that's why a lot of people who succeed and have long careers in what we do, is they understand that element is critical to what we do. You need to say, hey, time out. We're making food. People eat this food. Your wife eats this food. Your children eat this food. People eat this food. And we need to always remember that and elevate that within companies. And those people understand that calling.
Yep, 100%.
Now, part of what's very important as well within a company, and I'm sure everybody at Kraft Heinz is very happy about this too, is that you work for a person, not a company. And what do I mean by that? You can work for a fantastic company that has all kinds of great culture and but if you have a poor boss who is narcissistic and will throw you under the bus at the first drop of trouble, who gives you assignments and no credit, who gives you horrible reviews and no feedback, your life is miserable.
Yep.
Conversely, if you work for a company that's kind of mediocre, but you have a kick-ass boss, your life is so much better. And as you're starting to build out your career in the past, one of the key points I would always talk with people is that when you're interviewing for a potential role, it's a two-way street. They're interviewing you, but you're interviewing them. And that conversation with that person that you're going to be working for is absolutely critical, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah. The situation where you're in, when it doesn't matter how much you're getting paid, or how great performance that the company is performing, if you're not happy in your situation, especially with your immediate boss, then I think you're not going to be around for very long. So building that relationship and having those interpersonal skills is absolutely critical as you go through your career.
Yep, absolutely. And I think one of the lessons that younger people need to learn as well too, from our past experience, and I think this still applies, is if you want a successful career in food safety and quality assurance in this space, you're probably going to have to move, aren't you?
Yep. And for me, obviously, coming from New Zealand and living in Saudi Arabia, like we were talking before about, you never know which way your career is going to go. So I was working quite comfortably in Perth in Western Australia, and got made redundant, and yeah, looked in the paper for a job, and there was a job being advertised in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia, and luckily I was, fortunate enough to get it, but also prepared to take that leap and that culture shock, and jump in, and my wife was able to come with me and support me, and those type of upheavals in your life are very difficult to do, but I'd strongly recommend it, and take that chance, because you never know where it's going to head.
Right. And from those life experiences for you, yeah, there was challenges and difficulty, but that perspective it gave you, I mean, you have a viewpoint of food safety that's worldwide, and not many people have that.
Yep, that's just at the time it seemed like I was going to the back of beyond, to the middle of nowhere. Um, I've been to places even worse than that since I moved, and but it does. I'm never cease to be amazed at the standards and food safety systems that are being put in place in these places that you would never imagine would be capable of achieving those types of standards. So, for example, I've been to Cameroon and Kenya and Rwanda and Nigeria, and you'd think they have very limited capabilities, but once you give people the opportunity and you train them and you tell them these are the standards, honestly, I think some of those food safety standards are better than what you get in Europe or America,
Yeah.
just because people want to achieve. So a lot of it's the motivation rather than the capabilities.
Right. Well, I think it's a key point there, Campbell, that I want to emphasize and underline, is that a key attribute of what we do and what's going to make you successful is leadership and being able to teach. And we had a guest on the chat here last quarter who had the opportunity to go to India and do some auditing and training. And she came away exceptionally impressed with their eagerness and their willingness to learn. And she said that the moment she told them to do something and why they needed to do it, it was done. It was
Yep.
done.
Yep.
They're
And
very
and yeah, I've seen some of the best food safety standards in the world in so-called deepest, darkest Africa and India and places like that. And I think people don't appreciate that there's so much opportunity. If you can apply yourself, you can achieve greatness no matter where you are in the world.
Yep, absolutely. And that's one of the views. And I would love for people in the chat, if there's anyone here internationally, I'd love to get your perspective in the chat here as well. Is that's one of our failures here in the US. And this is something we need to be aware of as people, is I've traveled internationally quite a bit as well. And once you get outside of the bubble of the United States, guess what? The rest of the world doesn't care about us, right? We think that we're the center of the universe. Guess what? We're not, right? And people are just blown away when they start thinking about these things, because when you look at countries like Nigeria, hundreds of millions of people live in Nigeria, right? They're almost as big as the United States in population, but people don't think that, right? All of these different countries, we're all working on these type of things, and those perspectives you need to bring to the table, because there's other ways of doing things. Dubai, some of the things that are being done in Dubai relative to AI and all these type of capabilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to be humble in those ways and say there's people out there working, and let's partner together on these things.
Dubai is phenomenal. That some of the things they're able to achieve, like the whole country is digital. The Sheikh Mohammed said by I think it was 2023 or 2024, the whole country will be digital. So you never have to do anything with paper and pen for any government agency or anything like that. It's all done on the computer or on your phone, and phenomenal achievement for a country.
Yep, absolutely. And yeah, we need to be doing more of that here. The food industry, right, a little sidebar, way too much paper. Oh my God, way. I mean,
Yeah.
we're caught in the 1980s. We need to get rid of the paperwork.
Yeah.
Ugh, it's nuts. Another key lesson that I learned early on in my career is that no matter how much you think you're going to plan these things out, and we alluded to this earlier, guess what? There's a lot of things beyond your control, aren't there?
And the path you take sort of determines like where you end up, but at the end of the day, you make the most of whatever you've been given. I remember my first job was working in a chilled lamb exporter, and I thought that this is great. This is going to be my career. Within 2 years, the factory was closed down. The CEO was in jail because he'd been doing fraud, and that sort of set me off for the next step of my career. But it just shows sometimes it's out of your control. You just have to swing with the punches and move on, and quite often that leads you on to something even better and greater. So yeah, never be too comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the key things for helping to reduce that variability and keeping my options open as wide as possible, and you had mentioned this as well, is your partner, right?
Yep,
Uh,
100%.
yeah. My wife, when we first started dating, she was a chemist at Coors, and she liked her role, but she was kind of boxed in there. She's like, I need to do something different. So she went back to school and became a pharmacist, and that was ideal for what we wanted to do, because no matter where I went, and like you, right, I've lived in New York and Pennsylvania and Colorado and other, associated with my job, international roles associated with the divisions I ran. And as a pharmacist, she had portability. So if I moved to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, she was able to get a job very quickly in that marketplace. And it allowed us that flexibility to be able to move around. It sounds like it was the same for you.
And I do understand and appreciate, I've been recruiting quite a bit in North America, and that's very difficult for people to relocate. Most companies in North America provide very good relocation packages, which you would never get in Australia or New Zealand. I remember I was working in the bottom of the South Island of New Zealand, and I was working for Fonterra, and I got a job with Nestle up in Auckland in the top of New Zealand, and relocation wasn't even considered. Like it was, I stopped work on Friday, and they wanted me there first thing Monday morning, and I had to drive from one end of the country to the other, which isn't that far, but you cross it, 2 islands, so you cross the Cook Strait, and packed up all my belongings in the back of the car and drove, and I think with all the infrastructure you have in North America, with fantastic roadways and U-Haul and everything, there's no excuse not to be able to just pack up your stuff and drive and move to another part of the country if you have to.
Right. I can remember back in my career hiring key people, and there were certain people, and this is always true, 80-20. There's key people in your organization, like, oh man, if I ever move to a new company, I'm going to try and poach that person, right? And I remember there's some people from my past, superstars, amazing people that I would say, hey, I'm at this new company now. I'd really love for you to come and take over this role and work with me again in this new company. I would say more people than not said no, because they're like, no, I don't want to move. And I was just
amazing. Yep.
That's a huge mistake.
Yeah. And these opportunities don't come around every day. Sometimes living a little bit out of your comfort zone for a wee while can lead you on to so much better things. And I'd strongly recommend that with people that I advise, for their careers. I'd always say, take that jump, take that leap.
Yep. Now, using that to segue to the present, in the present now, we've got more tools, right? So you and I are able to sit here on Zoom and have this fantastic conversation with all of our friends here on the chat, and be in different parts of the country and have a perfectly normal conversation. The world of COVID, and there were positives and negatives. This is one of the positives that came out of it.
Taught us a few things. Yeah.
Yeah, is remote work, which was an absolute taboo in the past, absolutely inconceivable that anyone would even consider that, is now part of the working world. And you have more options in that capacity now. Can you sit here all the time behind a computer and do stuff? No, right? If you're working in quality and food safety, you're hands-on, right? You have to be out in the plants. You have to be touching the product. You have to be talking to people face to face. You can't do this all remotely, but at least you've got some options now.
Yeah, I was in Dubai looking after Middle East, India, and Africa for Kerry during the COVID pandemic. I was the crisis team leader for COVID. So daily Zoom calls with about 20 different factories around the Middle East and Africa, as well as global meetings and things. So yeah, certainly COVID taught us a lot. But honestly, in every quality and food safety role, you have to build that trust. You have to see for yourself. You have to visit the facilities and know what the strengths and weaknesses are and what the culture is like. You can't assess culture over a TV screen. All those stories about people during COVID with fake backgrounds and sitting at the beach but pretending they're at home and things like
I
that.
remember that. Yeah, it's like, no, it doesn't work. And so part of what you need to be absolutely planning is you need to constantly learn. And one of the things I would always do, and I'm sure you do this too, Campbell, is when I would put together objectives for my team members for the course of the year, I'd be like, okay, number one, your job description is the baseline. And Alexis here knows this very well, is that's the baseline. That's what you're expected to do with the minimum within your role. It's not the maximum, that's the minimum. We're going to build into your objectives those things that you're going to do this year to make things better in the company, things that you're going to make better in the department, and things that you are going to make better for you. And I would leave a section in there. I would always budget for this and say, okay, I put $3,000 or whatever into your budget for you for training. And then I would go to them and say, what would you like to train in? And I would leave it up to them. Then we would have a discussion on that. And sometimes I would get very surprising things. They would say, oh, I want to learn more about plant operations. Oh, really? Why? Well, I'm thinking maybe I would like maybe to become a plant manager at some point. Fantastic. Let's talk about that and put together a plan for you.
Yeah, I early on in my career, I was working with Nestle, and the plant manager had a budget of 2% of his revenue to spend on quality and safety. And every year he'd be coming to me and saying, what courses do you need to go on? I have to spend this money or else I'll get in trouble. So I'd never done so much training in all my life as when I was at Nestle. And it was really fantastic learning and taking that opportunity to invest in yourself and grow. And I think everybody should be doing that as part of their career, is doing some sort of extramural studies. It doesn't take much, but just participating quite often and learning and growing your network is a big part of your career.
Yep. And I want to recognize the people that are in the chat right now. They're taking an hour out of their busy schedule. I mean, we only have 40 hours in that work week. It's probably more, but you only have a limited amount of time during that week to do things. And the people that are here live joining us are investing that hour in learning and growing. And I've always used the mantra, I heard this somewhere, but I think it applies. I don't take credit for this. If you attend a webinar, or if you go to IAFP or anything like this, and you come away with one new thing that you can apply, and that's the key, one new thing that you can apply, because we improve incrementally. It's not a big step change, it's incremental. And if you can bring one new thing to your organization or to you personally that you can grow and learn, that's a win. And I applaud everybody for being here.
And a lot of companies don't understand that. They don't invest in their people. They don't invest in training and development, attending conferences and things. When I was in Saudi Arabia, we weren't allowed to attend any conferences. They really didn't appreciate the opportunity there for learning as part of the organization. And I think that's to their detriment. You become very isolated and introverted.
Yeah. Well, that's a very big danger in companies, isn't it? In a lot of ways, we're cocooned within a company, and we're developing and growing and learning new things that are exciting. And sharing that information is critical. And we talk about it here all the time. Food safety, not a point of competition. Ethically, those new food safety things that you learn within your company, you should be sharing. If you're working in plant-based products, one of the things that people are learning around plant-based products, so alternate plant-based beverages and things like this, is Bacillus cereus is a big risk. It's a brand new risk that wasn't really identified in the past, and we've had some recalls in the industry because of that. That information needs to be shared. That's not a competitive advantage.
Yep.
If one of your competitors has a recall for that issue, the consumer is going to link your product, all of
Yeah.
the product in that category, to that threat. So it's to your company's advantage to share that information.
I've always said that food safety is not competitive, and um, IFP. I did see some studies that were saying that people are prepared to pay a little bit extra for food that is supposedly safer than other food. But I'd take the argument that no, if there's a problem with one category, everybody in that category is going to be affected, and therefore, we're all in it together, and we should all learn. And again, it's that altruistic side of food safety professionals as well. We all want food in general to be safer, So any form of foodborne illness is a bad reflection on the food industry in general.
Yeah, absolutely. Food safety is a given. Right? That's the baseline. It's kind of like that job description I was talking about. Uh, so part of this is this isn't just us. It's just not the leadership within a company that needs to do this sharing and communicating. It's everybody else as well too. And if you don't necessarily have the advantage to do that within your outside of your company, maybe you can do that in your company too. So if you work in the laboratory and you've developed some ISO 17025 processes and procedures, that systematic method of doing things may benefit other departments. Those programs that you put together may help other people. We get isolated within quality and food safety, and we forget that we're part of a company, and we can help because we have process analytical minds. Here's how things work. Here's how things,
Yeah.
here's what you do. Other people haven't necessarily had that training. And if you can help other departments as part of, let's say, a new product development, you're getting ready to launch a new product and you're on that team, you can help bring those methodologies to them and say, hey guys, let's flow chart this all out and see how this works to see if we're missing something. You can help them grow and advance too. You need to find those opportunities.
And bringing quality into product development is a great example.
Oh,
So many times, quality or food safety are the last people to be checking a new product or new formulation before it gets launched. Whereas if only we'd been involved right at the concept stage, then maybe we could have given you some advice to prevent this from becoming an issue. So yeah, that's a great piece of advice. Getting
yeah.
quality involved, and even the design of the equipment, or the choosing the right supplier, or being involved in the procurement processes, or the even the choice of the location for the facility. When you're building a new factory, um, so many times quality is sort of seen as this bubble that you don't speak to them unless you want to know that the answer is no. So
Yeah.
um, people sometimes think of quality and food safety as the brakes. We're the ones who say no or stop. But I
Right.
always remind people the brakes on your car are there to keep you on the road and help you go faster. So
Yeah, and just imagine, yeah, and so I think you're absolutely right, Campbell. Is product development, design control is a fantastic way for quality and food safety to get involved with the process earlier on, as Duncan's talking about here. It's never too early to get these processes in.
100%.
Just think how much life would be easier if you were part of a product development team from quality assurance, food safety, and you reminded the R&D guys, hey guys, I totally get you love being on the bench and coming up with new super fun. I totally get it. That's what you guys are here for, and it's awesome. Don't forget, if one of those new ingredients that you're looking at has a new allergen, here's what that means to the company.
Yep.
If you can plant that seed in their product development process where they're there mixing stuff and playing around and they're going, oh, hey, oops, this has soy in it. Oh, that's not good. Versus finding that down the road when they're ready to launch that product in a pilot in the plant, and then you find out about it. Right? Just
Yep.
think of all the time you've saved.
And I mean, I've had multiple examples in my career. I'm sure most food safety quality people have. And so that's a lesson that we need to learn: is get ourselves out of the bench, out of the lab, get involved, ask the right questions, make those contacts, be a part of the team that people trust and want to get your advice from.
Important thing that Campbell just said there, be a part of the team. And the teams means the company team, just not, oh no, I work in quality and food safety. That's all I do. Huge mistake. You're a part of a company, and that company is there to bring products that people want that are safe and high quality and all the things that we talk about in the preamble to the chat. Here's the interesting part with that. If you become part of the company and use your expertise outside of your bubble within that company, people notice. People get promoted because people notice. It's not just because you're good at your job.
Yep.
HR has review processes. I was involved with these. I'm sure you are too. At levels within the company where you will get together as senior leadership and say, okay, who are the people in this company that we should be taking a look at as high performers? Different departments then bring forward people and say, well, I've got this person who works for me who's a superstar. We need to look for opportunities for this person, number one, because if we don't, they're going to get bored and leave. And these are the future leaders within our company. What can we do to get them more exposure in the company? Critical.
And you don't want to be seen as, like just the subject matter expert, the specialist. I mean, there's a role for those people as well. They're in their comfort zone, but I always encourage people to get out of their comfort zone and try something new, be part of a project that you've never had any involvement with before, and then that gives you more experience and more exposure and more, building those relationships.
Right. And that's a good point too, Campbell. And this is something that we as leaders need to understand. Not everybody wants to be promoted.
Yep.
Some people absolutely love what they do. They're in a specialized niche and they work in regulatory and they specialize in label claims and they work with marketing and they love what they do. Perfect. Glad you're happy doing what you do. Here's some more training to make you better at what you do. Other people are going to come to you and say, I want to advance. I want to promote. That's a key lesson too. You need to tell your boss. You can't expect your boss to figure that out. HR is not there for you. HR is there for the company. They're there to protect the company. It's your responsibility, your career, your responsibility.
100%.
And a key point on that, and this is something for that present that you need to remember too, is the stars align, the perfect offer at another company comes through, you get this giant promotion, and then you leave the company saying, later, losers, I hate all of you, right? Never, ever in what we do burn a bridge.
No, it's a very small world. Globally, the quality and food safety, there's people that I'm still in touch with from all over the world, and your reputation precedes you. There's people that you don't even know that they're noticing you or have heard of you or talk about you. So yeah, that can be a good thing and that can be a bad thing. So whatever you do, don't burn any bridges.
Yeah, absolutely. When you think about it, just on a United States or even worldwide standpoint, when you get to the vice president, senior vice president, head of quality assurance roles within companies, very few, a few thousands around the world of people who have that experience. To your point, it's not 6 degrees of separation, it's one. If you're being considered for a leadership role in quality assurance and food safety, there's phone calls taking place. And people are talking and saying, tell me about Campbell. What do you know about him? Right? That network is critical. And as I remind people as well too, Campbell, your resume, your CV is just the foot in the door.
Yeah.
That's just saying that, okay, I understand the basics of what it is you're asking me to do. Let's have a conversation. That's the important part, because I don't care how smart you are and how much you know about what we do. If you're a jerk, I'm not going to hire you.
Yeah. And the higher up you get, the more important that is. People, it's not so much what you know as who you know, and your reputation goes before you.
Right, and that's what I love is you take the time to go to conferences. A lot of senior leadership don't have the time to do that.
Yeah.
But you're out there talking with people, meeting with people, seeing new trends, looking at all this information. And that investment in learning those things Jorge Hernandez with Wendy's, the amount of time he invests in going to conferences and speaking and being interviewed. He's promoting food safety, and he's also letting people get to know him and say, okay, yeah, I understand how these things work, which is really, really important.
And you
Uh,
actually you're the face of the company as well. So you're promoting the brand and you're building trust in the brand. So that goes a long way to growing the company that you're working with, because people believe that you're a trustworthy type of person. Therefore, we can trust food safety. When Wendy's has that motto, "Quality is our recipe," and you can see that. And George, you can tell that's their motto, and that's what they live and breathe.
yeah, and that's a good segue on that, because he embodies quality and food safety at Wendy's.
Yep,
When you think of that, you see him,
yep,
and that's leadership. That's like, good job. We really
yep,
appreciate that. Another key point here on the present that you need to know for growth is that, okay, fine, you have your company growth. Oh, I'm going to take this course. I'm going to go to this conference. What are you doing to grow as a person? What are you doing to better yourself? That's just as important. You need
yep,
to be constantly growing. There's only two states in life. There's growing and degrading. That is it. So if you throw everything that you have into your work and you're there 90, 100 hours a week, and you don't have any friends, and you neglect your relationship with your partner, and that is going to drag down sooner or later. That's going to
yep,
drag down the work side.
yep. And like you said, people don't want to work with a-holes. So, um, I come from New Zealand. The All Blacks is probably the one of the most successful teams ever, and people use them as an example for leadership and management. And that's one of their rules. We don't care how good a rugby player you are. Um, if you're not that right type of personality, you're out. So again, you have to be part of the team and fit in, and people want somebody that they can trust and look up to and admire, regardless of what role you play in the organization.
Yep, absolutely. And one final point before we move on to the future is, as part of that leadership development, is when a crisis hits, you need to be prepared to lead. And it doesn't matter in food safety what role you have relative to that, you need to be able and prepared to lead. If a crisis hits in a company, and you know this very well, Campbell, with your background, is that the organization is going to look to you. Again, we are the morality leadership within the company. We're showing good, bad, right, wrong, pass, fail. If a crisis hits, they're looking to us for that leadership. If your reaction is hair on fire and you're panicked, everybody else is going to panic. If you look at a situation, and I've led class 1 recalls as well. If you look at the situation and say, okay, we practice for this, we have a game plan, we need to evaluate the data and see what's real and what's not. I need you to do this. I need you to do this. I need you to do this. That is your opportunity to shine and show within the company why what we do is so important.
I think that's probably one of the greatest skills you can develop as a leader in food safety and quality, is that ability to maintain calm in times of crisis.
Yeah.
And it's not a natural instinct. Everybody's gut instinct is to panic. So being and it takes practice. It takes conscious thought. I did a really good emotional intelligence course with 6 seconds, and they say with every input, or every something that could cause you to react, you've got 6 seconds between the input and your reaction. So
Oh,
if you can just count to 6, you can then make a conscious decision as how you're going to react, rather than that sort of impulse to overreact or get emotional.
I love that. So that's the new thing that I've learned today. Thank you for that. I like that. 6 seconds. That's good.
Six
Um,
seconds between input and response. Yeah.
so part of this as well is with leadership. It doesn't necessarily mean extroversion. Do not conflate those. I think by nature, and this is me especially, I'm a very introverted person, and a lot of people in technical fields are.
Yeah.
Introverts are fantastic leaders. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. We are. And there's this assumption that the bombastic personality is the leader. No. In my past, I had a gentleman who worked for me who ran my supplier program for quality. Very deliberate, very soft spoken. But to your point, Campbell, when he spoke, everybody listened because what he was saying was important. He didn't have to shout over people. In a meeting, people would be talking about something, and then Brent would go, "I've got a thought on that." And then everybody would turn to him and everybody shut up because they knew what was coming would be gold.
It's funny that in New Zealand we're quite reserved as a society. Australians are a lot more loud spoken, and being introverted in America is almost seen as a disease, you know. So, but I think you're right. I think scientists are a lot more reserved and slow to answer, think about the question a lot more.
Yeah, that's a good observation. Yeah. It's like, "Oh, you're introverted? Oh, you poor guy. Maybe, yeah, maybe we can fix that." It's like, no, I don't need fixing. I'm
Yeah,
fine. Thank you very much." Um, so transitioning now, we're getting a little short on time here relative to the future. And so IAFP, we referenced this a little bit and some of the things that you're learning. We in quality and food safety, we need to be constantly looking at the future and planning. And if you're in a leadership role, you need to be looking 3 years out at least of what's coming up. And we talked about this earlier. And I got to put this up here because Duncan had a good pun up here. Is Bacillus serious? Very serious. Thank you, Duncan.
yeah.
And that's an emerging threat. You need to be looking out and planning and going to things like this and subscribing to my locals group so you're getting recall information, looking at other industries to see what they're going through, to see how that applies to you. Produce, meat, yeah, lots of good information there that you could potentially apply if you work in cheese, for example. What emerging threats are out there? How are you keeping up to date and planning for the future?
Yeah, there's a lot of good subscription services that you can subscribe to. Like AI really is the next big thing. I was at a MSU thing in Lansing last week, talking about AI and food safety, and you have to be very careful with AI. You know, you can do a search for AI. What's all the big threats to my food ingredients, and it can come up with hardly anything. But then there's other services like Foodikai that have they have a huge database where they access global ingredient alerts, and for the same ingredient they'll come up with 100 different items. So not plugging for them at all. There's other services out there as well, but you have to be careful with AI. Like data, only as good as the data that you put in is the data that comes out. So that they don't have access to every database in the world. So maybe in the future we're going to have a sort of global food safety database. That would be fantastic. But in the meantime, we have to keep up to date with those food safety alerts and try to keep on top of things, but also be thinking about where the next problem is going to come from. So we in the dairy industry and poultry industry, we had the highly pathogenic avian influenza scare last couple of years. There's been PFAS issues, and who knows what the next thing we'll be able to detect and within our food. So there's going to be some scares, and we just have to be prepared for them and keep our finger on the pulse.
Yeah, microplastics. Yeah, I mean, we're seeing this everywhere.
Yep.
If the CEO comes to you and says, "Hey, Bryan, I'm hearing a lot about this microplastics when I'm on YouTube. What do you know about that?" Right? If you go, "I don't know," right? That's not good.
I remember when I was at Nestle, the head of food safety came to me and said, "What's this GMO stuff? How do we test for GMO?" So At that time, nobody had any idea how to test for it. So again, you need to be thinking, what's the next one coming around the corner, and being in touch with a lot of universities, we can be up to speed with the latest research, and places like IFP. Some of those poster presentations were phenomenal. Really, some really deep thinking about emerging issues and what we can do about them.
Yep, and this kind of gets back to what I've been working on relative to risk assessment. Is you need to look at this in terms. Okay, fine. Everything funnels down. You have global information, regional, but it also comes back to your company. Your company is unique. It's who's my CEO, who's my head of quality, what market are we playing in, what new products are we releasing, what's our risk in this company, and that information is always changing. And in food safety, it's part of our job to be the canary in the coal mine, to be that group out there saying, "Oh, new risk," right? So R&D has been tasked with launching 10 new products in the next 5 months. Oh, well, okay, that just increased our risk because we're going to be moving super fast, which means we need to have really good processes in place. We need to watch this closely to make sure we don't accidentally do something that's going to put us at risk. Yep, microplastics, definitely. So, guys, we're short on time, and I always love these chats like this because they go so fast. We'll bring this up to 30,000 foot today, Campbell. And
Yep.
what would you like to leave everybody here today with our conversation?
I think just that we talked about your career and ups and downs, and like the helicopter pilot said to me in Hawaii, life's full of ups and downs. So just take your opportunities as they come. Never know what's around the next corner. One door closes, another door opens, and I think if you live your life with integrity and with that altruistic spirit that most food safety and quality professionals have, everything's going to be okay. You're going to turn out right.
Yep. Cliches exist for a reason. There's many paths to the top of the mountain, and no one is taking the same path. Absolutely no one. And we're all reaching that same objective. We may never climb all the way up, but we need to climb as far as we can. And the way I look at this is I call this the rocking chair test, Campbell. Is imagine yourself, you're 85 years old, you're sitting on the porch of your home, and you're watching the sunset. And as we get older, and this process accelerates as you get closer to the end of your life, is you begin a reflective period, and you begin looking back at your life and what you've done and what you accomplished, what things you wish you would have done, what things you regret doing. All these type of things begin accumulating. You need to take a look at that and sit back and place yourself into the future, into your 85-year-old self, and say, "Am I proud of what I did? Did I do the right thing?" Right? That should be your guiding North Star.
100%. Really good summary to close on. I think that's fantastic. My dad's 87. He's still working, so hopefully I won't have to sit on that rocking chair for a long time yet.
Yeah, that's what I love about what we do in our industry is we can keep doing this as long as we want because that expertise needs to be shared. And it makes me sad when a food industry expert retires and disappears because all of that knowledge is going with them.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you need to share that. It's critically important for the past, present, and future operations.
And we're very fortunate. We have a lot of gurus in food safety and a lot of people to look up to and share their knowledge with. And if anybody has any questions, reach out to them because they're also welcoming and open to answer questions and be part of the society. So that's one thing I really enjoy about this industry as well. People are open and prepared to share.
Yep, and the key common denominator you'll find with the let's say seasoned people in this field is that we all continue to learn and grow every day, and we get excited when we learn something new. And I think that's a key to success in life for anyone. Is you can't be stagnant. You have to keep learning and growing always. So don't forget that.
Yeah.
So with that, we're going to bring our chat to a close here today. And thank you, Campbell, for taking time out of your busy schedule and joining us. And again, congratulations on your
Thank you very
promotion
much.
and your new role. Kraft Heinz, really, really lucky to have you. And we're really lucky to have everybody in our audience. And thank you too, right? You're learning and growing, and we appreciate all that you're doing joining us here today. So with that, part of this is having fun and relaxing as well. So enjoy your weekend. Have a little fun. Go out there and see the sun, get some vitamin D, run around your yard, play with your dog, all that fun stuff. But we will be back here next Friday at the same time, 8 a.m. Mountain Time, 10 a.m. Eastern, where I will bring another amazing guest like this guy onto the chat, and we'll have a conversation with you and get information from you too, because we're all in this together. So with that, we'll close out. Thanks, everybody. We appreciate all that you do, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, Campbell.
Thank you. Bye.